But now I'm really alive. Thanks, Emily. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Hello. And hello, Ethernet, Internet, world. How are you? Are you hot enough? Not yet. Well, we have the air on, which is nice. I'm Chandra, Easton. It's nice to be here with you again tonight. Last week was my first night back after a summer hiatus. This is my weekly class. I've been doing it for a couple years now here at the Alembic. How many here are here for the first time? Welcome. Okay, another kind of big group for the first time. It was like this last week as well. Very good. And how many here are not here at the Alembic for the first time, but here at my class for the first time? All right, that's another kind of big group too. Welcome. Okay, great. So tonight, what we'll continue to do is learn our evening prayers. We have chants that we do with every class, and then we will meditate. Usually I guide about a 30 to 40 minute sit. And before we do the sit, we'll do a little movement so that you can transition from your day of work. Perhaps you were working, I assume a lot of us do. And then we'll sit after that or lie down. I meditate lying down these days because I am healing from a spine injury. So I am encouraging you also to listen to your body. If a supine position is something that is more suitable for your health, then by all means, don't be shy. You can get 2 zabutons and spread out. There's room along the side and the back. You can do that, okay? And then, of course, there are chairs, and a lot of you are already in those chairs. So there are more folding chairs back there. So if people, after the movement, if you feel like, God, I'd rather be in a chair, you can also take time to do that as well. I'm listening to your body. Very important. And then we have a Dharma talk at the end. And that's not just me talking to you, but it's us discussing things. And tonight we'll continue with this theme that we're having for the rest of this month, but also continuing into September, which is finding your yes in the midst of samsara, which is this cycle of existence, of birth and death, moment to moment, this world that we're in that is sometimes very joyful, but also sometimes very challenging, right? So we'll go deeper into that. We opened up this discussion last week, and we'll take another step into this world tonight, and then we'll take even more steps in the following weeks. I'm excited about it. I hope you'll enjoy it as well. So one announcement from me, 2 announcements actually. I've just kicked off registration for a course that I'm very enthusiastic about. It's an online series that will last for a year. And really what it is building a community of fellow practitioners, kind of like yourselves, in the sense that a lot of us have been coming to this group for a long time, and we're getting to know each other through consistent practice together. And but this will be more of an online space because a lot of folks are Zooming in from around the world. And the theme is Foundations of Non-Dual Buddhist Tantra. And that's really my area of expertise. It's the area that I've been writing about, studying, and practicing for, honestly, like almost 3 decades. I can't believe I'm saying that. But it's true. And so it's a weekly gathering. We will practice together. We'll do a lot of chanting, mantra japa, and also kirtan style with different mantras, both within the Buddhist and Hindu tradition. But then also learning about the origins and evolution of Tantra as a classical tradition that influenced both Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and so on in the South Asian subcontinent, but also the expressions, particularly within Buddhism. It's a very interesting history. And then what is non-duality in the context of Tantra and Buddhism? So, yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. There's more information on my website, chandraeaston.com. It starts on October 8th. There are Tuesday morning class slots and then Wednesday night slots as well. They're both about half full. I'm not letting it be really big. And so if it's something that is interesting to you, I recommend checking it out soon. And there's sliding scale. It's very accessible. And if you have questions about it, you can reach out and ask me. And then the other announcement is a retreat that I'm doing at Esalen on September 30th. A couple of you were at Esalen with me recently. Yeah. Well, I'll be there again. It's one of my favorite places to go. And it's a retreat for 5 days, September 30th to October 4th, called Awake in the Body. And it's a retreat on the 4 foundations, or we could say 4 applications of mindfulness. So really the kind of bedrock of the Buddha's teachings on mindfulness, meditation, mindfulness of the body, the breath, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of thoughts, and mindfulness of perception. So those teachings are all found within his famous text called the 4 Foundations of Mindfulness Sutra. And so the retreat will be based on those very beautiful essence teachings. And then it will be supplemented with feeding your demons, which is something we do from time to time here on Tuesday nights. Once a quarter, I take you guys through that practice. Some of you have done that. So all of that's on my website. I thought I would share those 2 things because they're coming up. Okay, so let's look at our chant sheet. And there are 2 chants in Sanskrit that we do. The first one is a chant to the goddess named Narayaṇi. So you'll see at the very top is this prayer from the Devi Mahatmya, which is a famous Hindu tantric text or hymnal, really, to the goddess in her many forms. And this is from verse 12. And it's honoring the great mother or the goddess in her form as Narayaṇi. And she is the goddess who takes away the afflictions of all those in samsara, like us. And she is likened to the Buddhist goddess Tara. That's why I love this prayer. Tara is the Buddhist goddess of compassion. Again, parallels within the Hindu and the Buddhist forms of tantric deity or goddess worship, you could say. And so Narayaṇi, Tara, often considered similar or the same. And so this one, I thought, I didn't really unpack it very much last week, so I thought I would unpack it a little bit tonight with the pronunciation. So this word Śaraṇāgata means I take refuge, or I arrive in refuge. Basically, having taken refuge is what Śaraṇāgata means. And then dīnārtha means, Sanskrit, it doesn't all make sense in one line. So this is going to build, so be patient with me. Dīnārtha is a word that means basically, because of being downtrodden, I take refuge, basically. Because I'm down and out, I'm asking for help, basically, is what this first line says, which I think a lot of us sometimes we can identify with this, right? Like, we don't go for help if we don't need it, right? And then paritrāṇa means completely saving. So now we're talking about her, you who completely saves. Parāyaṇe, I turn towards you, the Supreme. So let's practice these 2 lines. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha. So now repeat after me. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha. Good. Let's just do that again. So you see the line over the S, it's a sh sound. And then the dot under the N is a retroflexive na. The tongue curls back. Na, like at the upper palate. Na. Good. And then whenever you see a line over a vowel, it makes it 2 beats instead of 1. It's a long vowel sound. So it's Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha. Good. Next line. Paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Good. Let's put these together. I'll say both lines together. Listen, and then you'll do them together. Listen. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha. Paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha. Paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Good. So this next line, Sarvasyārti hare Devi. So translating basically, Sarvasyārti hare Devi. If you take that all together, basically, Devi means goddess. We can read this backwards. Devi means goddess, right? Deva is God. Devi means goddess. And then hare means to take away, to remove. And then Sarvasyārti means basically who has taken away the afflictions of all. Sarva is all. Sarvasyārti is to take away the afflictions of all. So you, O Devi, who removes or takes away the afflictions of all, then Narayaṇi namostute. So we're basically saying her name. Narayaṇi is her name. Namostute. Namostute means I bow to you, Narayaṇi. So it goes like this. So everybody maybe just repeat after me. Sarvasyārti hare Devi. Sarvasyārti hare Devi. Good. Narayaṇi namostute. Narayaṇi namostute. Good. So the melody is Sarvasyārti hare Devi. Sarvasyārti hare Devi. Narayaṇi namostute. Narayaṇi namostute. Good. Now listen to the 2 lines and you'll do them. Sarvasyārti hare Devi. Narayaṇi namostute. Sarvasyārti hare Devi. Narayaṇi namostute. Good. You have a good ear. You start right in with the Narayaṇi. You see, we didn't take a breath after the Devi and before the Narayaṇi. So you keep going pretty fast there. Okay, good. Any questions? You, yes, sorry. And you've got the mic. How convenient. Did you know you were going to have a question?
I always do. Is namostute like some conjugation of namaste? Is
It
close?
is. It is. Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly. So in Sanskrit, namostute. So in Sanskrit, when when you conjugate the root of a noun or verb, the ending is what changes, of course. So I'm rusty with my Sanskrit grammar, but in a sense, this is saying, I bow. So namaha, namaha means to name or to honor, right? So then if it's namostute, it means I honor or I bow to something. So I am bowing to that which was listed before, Narayaṇi. So that's my educated guess, is why it's stute. It's ending in stute. Namostute. It's probably it's a compound word, namaha, and then adding with ustute or ostute. The O there is indicating to me, in my distant memory when I took Sanskrit in college, is indicating that it's the suffix of namaha combined with a prefix from ustute. It makes it an O. But I'm not a Sanskritist. I'm a Tibetan linguist and translator. So different languages. Maybe there's a Sanskritist in the room. Usually there isn't. Maybe there's one up there. Hi. You can chat in on the thread on YouTube. Thank you very much. Yeah. So namaste is definitely a conjugation of the same root. Okay. So let's sing this together. I'll do one line. I'll call you just to refresh the melody, and then you'll respond. You'll pick up the phone. I'll call the next line. You'll respond. I'll call the next line. Respond, and so on. Then we'll recite it 11 times together this time, and then we're going to go right into the Ganesha one, and we're going to do that one 3 times together because we did that last week 11 times. All right? Some of you weren't here. Guess what? The people who weren't here before, you can go on YouTube and you can listen to my teaching on the prayer from the prior week on YouTube, and you can hear it and you can learn it. So then the next time you come, you're going to be like, yeah, I know it. So that's how I don't have to repeat, redo the whole thing all over again every time. From time to time I will, but not always. All right. So here's this feeling we have of where we're turning towards the goddess, opening to her blessings, acknowledging that, sometimes we need to turn towards the goddess who takes away the afflictions of all. She is the refuge of the downtrodden. But she is not just that, she's also the very act of turning towards the Supreme. She is that Shakti within us, that pulse, that turn, that impulse, that inner pulse to turn towards something higher, greater, vaster than our often limited sense of what's possible. That is also her. That is Narayaṇi. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Narayaṇi namostute, Narayaṇi namostute, Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe. Sarvasyārti hare Devi nārāyaṇi namostute. Shri Ganesha Namaha. The Ganesha Invocation. Carson, would you read the translation for the Ganesha for us, please?
Sure. Right now?
Mm-hmm.
The translation is salutations to Shri Ganesha, who has a curved trunk and a large body, whose splendor is like 1,000,000 suns. O Deva, please make my undertakings free of obstacles by extending your blessings in my works, always.
Good. So thank you. We'll do 3 repetitions, but I'll call you and you can respond one time through all the way so that those who are new can get a sense of this one. You'll see similar markings on the letters and the vowels, so you'll get a sense of this. Vakra tuṇḍa mahā kāya, Vakra tuṇḍa mahā kāya, Sūrya koṭi samaprabha, Sūrya koṭi samaprabha. Nirvighnam kuru me Deva. Sarva kāryeśu sarvada. Sarva kāryeśu sarvada. Vakra tuṇḍa mahā kāya. Sūrya koṭi samaprabha. Nirvighnam kuru me Deva. Sarva kāryeśu sarvada. Vakra tuṇḍa mahā kāya. Sūrya koṭi samaprabha. Nirvighnam kuru me Deva. Sarva kāryeśu sarvada. Vakra tuṇḍa mahā kāya. Sūrya koṭi samaprabha. Nirvighnam kuru me Deva. Sarva kāryeśu sarvada. And now let's turn over the page and we'll say the two bodhicitta prayers in English together. Oh, yes, we'll say together. I'll say it a little louder so you can just follow along with me. This is a classic prayer of aspiration, of motivation to practice for the benefit of beings from the Tibetan tradition. This is called bodhicitta, the heart of awakening prayer. Ho, led astray by myriad appearances like reflections of the moon and water, beings wander in the endless chain of samsara. To bring them ease in the radiant space of awareness, with the four boundless qualities, I arouse bodhicitta. May all beings have happiness in the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings never be separated from the supreme joy that is beyond all sorrow. And may all beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Good, thank you. And just let that sink in. What does it feel like to acknowledge that we're coming to practice not only for ourselves, of course, but this commitment and acknowledgement that all of us at times are led astray by myriad appearances like reflections of the moon and water. And perhaps we've been wandering for so long. And in some way, may our practice now and forever help bring ease for ourselves and all beings in this radiant space of awareness. And then we pray through those boundless qualities of the first line there. You can look even. The first line is, may all beings have happiness in the causes of happiness. That is speaking to loving kindness, the first immeasurable. And the second line is, may they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. That is speaking to compassion. And the third line is, may all beings never be separated from supreme joy that is beyond all sorrow. That is empathetic joy, the third of the immeasurables or Brahma Viharas. And then the fourth line is equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. The fourth. So let that in some way start to tenderize your heart and open you to the possibility of expansiveness. This immeasurable prayer is so that we are able to take in that wish, not just for friends and family, but for immeasurable beings, enemies included. And as promised, I haven't forgotten, we are going to stand up and stretch our legs. So, and can one of our assistants turn on the air conditioner a little bit? It's feeling a little too hot in here. I think it's nice to set the temperature for about 75, maybe 74. Okay, so just about 5-ish minutes of mindfully and immeasurably giving every cell of your body love, compassion, equanimity, and joy by moving it, reaching your arms overhead. This is really whatever you want to do. I'm not going to guide a yoga class right now. Remember, I have a spine injury, so don't copy me exactly. So, but I can give suggestions. You can reach the hands overhead and stretch. But you can also just do whatever you want. You can fold forward. You can come into a squat. Before sitting, squats are great. You know that squatting is the key to longevity? Maybe everybody knows that now. Circulation in the pelvis releases tension through the low back. You can do some lunging if it feels good. It's nice to get your head beneath the heart. Maybe you haven't done that very much today. I like to do down dog. Feel free to let out some sighs and really listen to your body. Just do whatever your body wants right now. I mean, almost anything. It's like get upside down, do a spinal twist. If you want to lie down, roll around on the floor. We're at the alembic, you know, you can do whatever you want. You can get silly, experimental. Whew. Let's inhale and let out a few sighs. Oh, I mean, it's pretty heavy stuff, committing to relieve all beings of suffering, you know? I mean, it can feel kind of intense. It's nice to have a sense of humor about it too. Like, wow, we're all downtrodden sometimes, you know? It's kind of funny and tragic, and we're in it together. Maybe I'm being cliche, but part of being a teacher is you're always kind of veering on the edge of being cliche. You have to kind of get over yourself a little bit. How many people are teachers in the room? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Kind of like when you're a teacher, you have to just sort of know you're going to make a fool of yourself at least half the time and be okay with that. All right, so let's start to find our way back down. And maybe you've realized, you know what, maybe I don't want to be where I thought I wanted to be at the beginning of class, or maybe you do. So feel free to readjust. You know, you look at all these wonderful cushions and options you have here. So I am going to lie down and guide you from a supine position. What are you going to do? Ask your body, where is your yes for this sit? Make sure your knees are happy. Now, when you're sitting upright, you want to make sure that your hips are above the knees. Like if you're on a cushion and you're sitting with a slouch and your knees are up high, that means you need more cushion underneath your sits bones. You want your knees to be lower than your hips. Okay? Okay, pretty good, good, good. You feel like your knees are supported? You're feeling safe? Okay, good. All right. Good. Everybody have their seatbelts fastened? Ready for takeoff? Okay. Helmets? Let's go. Okay. All right. All right. So finding a comfortable seat, allow your eyes to close, and then come into whatever position you're in. Come into it with a sense of integrity, like, oh, here I am. Like, take your seat or your bed or whatever you're doing. Like, this is your throne, This is when you get to be regal, like the Buddha. And not posturing in a stiff way or a contrived way. Like, this is where all of us are here doing something so poetic, like special, but in a raw, authentic, simple way. Feel how that wonderful that is. And then soften and just let yourself be. Like literally let yourself be. Try not to fix or control. Like if you're a parent, can you feel yourself like trying to control your kid sometimes and you realize what you're doing and you're like, God damn, why don't I just let him be? Like we do that to ourselves too, right? Like, oh, just get off your back, like just let yourself be. What a relief. Nobody's asking you to do that. Why do we do that? Inhale, exhale. At the end of the sit last week, we let everything go and we were reminded that really true meditation is non-meditation. So let's start with that. Let's start with non-meditation meditation. Because as long as the mind is thinking, I am meditating, it's missing the point because the I is there. The ego is doing something. That's called the ahankara. The ahankara is literally in Sanskrit, the I maker. So see if you can sniff that out as soon as it comes up, the I. And then let it go. Just be a non-meditation meditation. Resting in this simple quality of presence, of being in this body, in this moment. And then when you feel the ahankara, the eye maker, see if there can be a releasing back into the non-meditation, the just letting yourself be. And then breathing into that space. And then maybe another breath into that space. This eye maker muscle is just so strong. It's okay. It's like a bodybuilder, you know. We're just asking it to relax. Relax by the pool and stop lifting weights and give us some space. Maybe you feel that with the relaxation at the brain stem. Maybe a relaxation at the jaw. Relaxation between the brow. Maybe relaxation of the shoulders. Each exhalation softening the areas where the eye maker lives. And let relaxation soak through your physical and subtle energy body. Sometimes there's tension in the heart or solar plexus, maybe breathing in there and releasing with the out breath. Sometimes fear lives around the ahankara, the eye maker, wrapped up in some perceived threat or protection. That's okay. Here we are safe. Let the breath be like a warm blanket surrounding any fear, enveloping it with a feeling of protection and also soothing, spacious envelopment. Feelings want to be felt. Let the breath and awareness come if that feels right to you. Sometimes the watery domain of the pelvis has ahankara, I-making feelings of maybe tension or fear at the pelvic floor, the low back. Just breathing, pelvic breath, belly breath. Breathing into the bowl of the pelvis and softening with the out breath. And you feel the communication between the cranium above and the sacrum below. And letting yourself just be in all those spaces in between. In this moment, the anchor is awareness of any subtle ahankara rearing its head. It's like you're watching for the groundhog poking its head up from beneath the earth. Without tension, just noticing when the eye maker grips. You just notice. And with the exhalation, softening, unraveling, releasing into presence. And presence is spacious, warm, welcoming, blissful, and empty. Emptiness and bliss, non-dual. Commingling, spontaneously present. And primordially pure. And everything arises from this ground of primordial purity, and everything releases back into this ground. Time to time, check in on yourself. How are you doing? Are you sinking into laxity, dullness? Or are you spinning into excitation? These are called the two pitfalls of concentration. If you're sinking into dullness or laxity, then brighten the attention, sit up straight, maybe open the eyes a bit. Take some deep breaths, invigorate your meditation. If you're spinning out in distraction and excitation, then relax, softening the effort a bit if you're tense. Return to the anchor of the breath. Recommit to releasing into presence, releasing the ahankara as soon as you notice. Not too tight, not too loose, as the Buddha taught. Walk the middle path. And now we're going to shift into the last phase of the practice with Donglen, sending and receiving, the compassion practice. The second line of that Four Immeasurables prayer devoted to compassion, this heartfelt wish to help to relieve in some way the suffering of others and ourselves. And in this way, we begin in this very palpable approach to breathe through and in the heart space, feeling an orb of golden light in the center of the sternum, the center of the heart chakra. The heart center, like an orb of light the size of an orange. You could imagine a glowing sun. And feel like you're breathing directly in and out of this orb of golden light. And feel this like a blissful luminosity in your heart, like nectar, light, suffusing the chest and then radiating throughout your body. Even perhaps you can feel it spreading beyond the rib cage, but the epicenter is the heart chakra. And with the in-breath, feel the breath 360 degrees drawing directly into this orb of light. And then exhaling the breath 360 degrees out from that orb of light. So continue like this. Feel as if you're breathing from without you, from outside of you, drawing the breath into the orb of light, aerating the heart space. And then exhale, breathing out from that orb of light, out through the pores of the body, out into the world. And this first phase of practice, we can go directly to self-donglen now. It's so potent and important to be able to direct this compassion towards ourselves. So we imagine that this orb of light is our own infinite bodhicitta, this spirit of awakening, this heart of compassionate Buddha nature that we all have within us. It's undying, unborn, indestructible, like the sun, metaphorically. And we all have that in us. And so as we breathe in and out from this heart center, we can scan through our body. Maybe we even felt this when we went through the ahankara meditation, where we might have some areas in our body that are more tight or suffering or held more strongly. Maybe we have tension or pain in different parts, or we hold trauma or in certain areas we touched on. You can feel, maybe drop into any area you'd like to work with. Feel that. Maybe like an area of dark or smoky vapor, part of your body, and imagine that with your in-breath, you're drawing that smoky vapor in from wherever it was in your body and drawing it into your heart center, welcoming it home to that luminous orb of light. And then with the out-breath, just letting it release and soften, heal, and offer any remedy, any release, resolution, or even just acceptance, spaciousness for that pain or challenge or heartbreak. Again, inhale. So the rhythm is the inhaling that challenge, drawing it into the bodhicitta heart, light. And then exhale, offering just spaciousness, integration, like you've let it come home and now it can just be at ease and reintegrate into your whole body, mind, heart system. Inhaling it home, let it come home like a mother or father welcoming a baby or child into its arms, their arms. Exhale, just letting it be rest and be there. Or even offering a soothing word or love, care, remedy. Keep going like this for about 10 more of your own rhythmic breaths. Inhale, stay with yourself here. Don't drift off into distraction. Breathing that pain or suffering, ahankara in its own unique way, into the heart light. And then exhale, soften any resistance or judgment around it. And just let it be there. Let it come home. Let it be felt. A few more, about 8 or 9 more like that in your own time. And these last few breaths, if you're like most people, you might have drifted off, and even just breathing that drifting off into your heart instead of ignoring that, like that's okay too. Like bring that home. And then if you judge yourself for drifting off, bring that home. Breathing anything, everything that's true in here, breathing that in this, all of it, one final big breath, bringing it all into the heart. This is the alchemy. This is the yes. You're bringing it all into the heart. Let it be purified, cleansed, cleared, integrated, and healed in the luminosity of your heart. And then with the last big exhalation, let it all be integrated like luminosity in every cell of your being. This is turning poison into medicine, the raw metal into gold. And let that fill your whole being. And just breathe with this. Returning to this feeling of non-meditation. Just be. And if you can't just be, breathe that into your heart. It's all welcome here. That's the yes. That's the key. Do you see how it's like a Russian doll, It's like, oh, I can let this in. Oh, and this in, and this in, and this. Oh, and this. Oh, I don't want to let this in. That's the yes, and then you get to the big yes. You're like, oh, it's all welcome. And then you're in the big yes. That's the ground of being, everything. That's the non-dual. That's the absolute yes. In the absolute yes, there is no judgment. But we can't just always be there because nothing would make sense. Can you imagine trying to explain to your toddler, oh yeah, nothing matters. There's no good and bad. There's no rules. So then we have training wheels, we have the parameters, we have the guardrails, we have relative reality. That's why in Buddhism there's the two truths, and it's convenient. Yes, it is convenient. We have absolute truth, non-dual, no birth, no death, no subject, no object, no right, no wrong, no black, no white, no time, no space. And yeah, when we enter into the Shushumna, or when we release into the central, when we're in the central channel, or when we release into the ground of being, we taste that. We understand that. But then when we open our eyes and we have to tie our shoes and get in the car, we have to lock back into duality, or else we drive on the wrong side of the highway. That's not good. So we need relative reality. We need to know what country we're in. So we're driving on the right side of the highway. And so when we meditate, as long as we're thinking, oh, I'm meditating, so all you kind of asshole thoughts over there can just go fuck off. Okay, Mom, I'm sorry, I said fuck again. My mom called me last week. She's like, you don't have to say the F word. I'm like, I know, but I kind of do. I love her. She's so great. She's like, I know why you do it, but you don't have to. Okay, so we're sitting there meditating. We're like, God damn it, why don't you guys just go away? Like, I want to get high and have a good time. And but we don't realize that they're the key. Did you get that? Did you get that? Who got that? Did anybody raise your hand? I want to know. It's okay if you didn't. Some of you got it. Did you feel it? That's what I want to ask. Did you feel it? Were you like, oh wait, right. Oh yeah. I'm judging myself because I can't let that in. Oh, I can let the judger in. And did that feel good?
A little bit. I'll let it in a bit and then be like, oh.
Right.
It's like,
but I might just open to it. It's not easy. It's not easy in the beginning. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being honest. It's not easy. But that's the alchemy. How about you?
There was a point where it was really terrifying and I didn't know what was happening, but then there was I could still feel this bliss and euphoria. And I was holding this I was scared, but I was like, wait, but this is here too. But I don't want to go there. I'm going to just stay with this. I felt like I was going down, 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 down. And then it transformed.
In which way?
It wasn't scary anymore.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
It wasn't scary.
But it wasn't scary. And it would be okay if it was. We would just have needed more time. Right, yes. Sometimes we can go down into in that way, but we need more midwifing. Yeah. Yes. Did you guys hear? Ashley, right? Did people have a similar experience like that? Where you're like, okay, I can try, but keep playing with that if that's a new concept. Maybe some of you are familiar with this too. This is it's kind of new to a lot of us because we're so used to resisting and we're not used to seeing the more and more like the Russian doll type of subtler and subtler and subtler, like as we actually get deeper and deeper into ourselves, the more subtle ways that we are blocking our freedom, really, that we're judging ourselves. Because the ego is sneaky. It's manipulative. It's like, okay, I'll give you a little bit. I'll give you an inch, but I won't let you take the mile. So we have to, that's what's like, we got to keep an eye out for the ahankara, like watching the little groundhogs. Pop, pop. And we got to watch it. Like, I see you. Like, Mara, I see you, like the Buddha said. Mara, I see you. Like, even after the Buddha got enlightened, Mara kept appearing. Mara, the so-called the devil is a bad translation, but the demon it's really his ego, it's his fear. Kept appearing even after Buddha was completely Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama, the prince, completely became enlightened. Kept appearing to him as his doubt and fear, even after he was completely liberated. But he was clear enough to say, I see you. So that's what we're practicing in on, those subtle maras. Oh, I see you. And instead of being like, we're like, hey, buddy, welcome home, old friend. Have a place by the fire. Have a cup of tea. This is feeding your demons, my friends. Come have a cup of tea. Feed, not fight. Why? Because Mara is your ally. Mara is here to tell you something. Mara has a message. Mara is there for a very important reason, because our fears our protections arose for a very important reason at some point in our lives. So we need to know why and learn from that and then heal it. And then that healing becomes our battle scar. That's my ally. And then I can help other people who have that wound. That's the shamanic journey. So that's the yes, like, do you feel, that's the strength when I'm in my central channel. When you're in your strength, when you know your yes, you are in your central axis, your life tree that connects heaven to earth and the netherworld, the underworlds. When you welcome all parts of yourself, the pelvic floor opens, the bowl of the pelvis opens, you stop gripping, you stop like the tail that stops tucking. When an animal's scared, like a dog tucks its tail. Notice yourself when you're walking around in your life. Are you tucking your tail? When you're tight here, notice if your sacrum is tucked. That's why I guided you in that meditation. Notice how they're communicating. When we're no, we're here. When we're yes, we're open. It's okay. Sometimes no is good. Sometimes we need to be in a no because we need to protect or we need to run. But it's anxiety. It's a fight or flight. It's all of that. So with meditation, we can see, we can open. So locking into these moments through meditation, through our yeses, into our yeses, it's a lot like in the yogic tradition, we talk about like Shakti, like locking into our, like the power. Shakti literally means power. So we can do that through meditation, through mantra recitation, through pranayama, through yoga asana practice, through prayer, through activism, through seva, like service. Doesn't have to be just through, Buddhism or yoga. It can be through other traditions. But it also, the yes, last week I started talking about like the ultimate yes is our Buddha nature. Really, it's our ultimate, like our true nature. Our Atman in Hinduism, or our connection with God, our service, what is our dharma, what is our destiny or our purpose in life. But it's also the balance, the yin and the yang, living in harmony with nature. That's the yes too. Homeostasis within the body, our nervous system being in balance. And that's how healing can happen. That's when healing happens. Okay, so how does this relate to Lojong? You're thinking, when do we get to the other Lojong? Okay, let's see if I can tie this in. Okay, so how does the yes and the no relate to Lojong? So we get the yes and the no, right? Last week we started talking about, we've got the relative level yes and no, which is the likes and the dislikes, what I want, what I don't want. You know, and the Lojong, which is mind training, we're really working on how do we understand Dharma? How do we understand interconnectedness, impermanence, develop more wisdom in our life, develop more compassion and understanding in the world, and then put our practice into action, right? Not just be a philosopher, but be of service in the world, right? And so these slogans that we're in right now, we're on slogan 34 right now. And I'm going to be moving in the next few weeks sort of swiftly through these last 20 or so slogans. And right now we're at slogan 34. And this is an interesting one, but the next four that are in this point 6 that we're in this section called point 6. These are all like the do's and the don'ts of mind training. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. All of these are about like working with your big fat ego. Working with the ego. And really what we're in the domain of is like the relative level work. Like, how do we not let the ego get the better of us? And so finding your yes in the world, I've been talking a lot about your yes, your yes, your yes, but this can start sounding kind of masturbatory a little bit, like, oh, I just want I'm going to follow my bliss. Right? Okay. But of course, when we're Lojong and when we're humans and we're trying to be good people, we can't just do that at the expense of others, right? So in Lojong, which means mind training, some of you guys are jumping in midstream here, so bear with me, but these are compassion teachings in Buddhism. So in Lojong, we don't just look for our yes at the expense of others, right? So we're learning how to bring all of life onto the path, all of it, the joys and the sorrows, the yeses and the nos. So we bring all difficulties and joys onto the path. So when things get hard, we don't just walk away unless that's the right thing to do. Of course, there are times when that is the right thing to do. Now but there's this 34th slogan. Who wants to read number 34 loud and clear? Yes.
Let's see. Don't transfer the ox's load to the cow.
This one I thought I was going to skip over, but it's so good for this yes and the no. Don't transfer the ox's load to the cow. What are they talking about? Now, mind you, we're in Tibet. We're in Tibet. And I can sum this up in just a few minutes, so don't worry. I know we're going to sum it up pretty fast. Essentially, what this slogan means is don't transfer what you are meant to carry, your responsibility, onto somebody else. So don't transfer your responsibility onto others. Don't unload your burden onto somebody else. So, for example, if we fail, if we fall short on something, we may want to blame others, right? There's a little temptation to blame others, make excuses. That would be an example of trying to transfer the ox's load onto the cow. We may try to avoid saying, I'm sorry, when it's the right thing to do. So instead, take responsibility and admit your mistakes. So by doing this, we build our sense of self-confidence. and self-esteem, even when we have done wrong. So I'm going to get to the point here. This is very important, and then we'll wrap it up. So if not, we actually lose our own self-respect. We get weaker in our own inner sense of who we are. Meaning that if we can fess up, in a nutshell, then if we cannot transfer our responsibility onto somebody else, then we feel better about who we are. This is the sign of a true Lojong practitioner. And this is what Tonglen can help us do. Of like, oh, okay, breathing in the hardship, breathing out the goodwill. So this practice of exchanging ourself and others, meaning Tonglen, even becomes our yes. You know, in the beginning, it's challenging. Like, oh, I don't want to. We didn't do that so much tonight. We worked just with our own stuff tonight. But normally, Tonglen, also we extend it to others, a loved one, where we'd breathe in someone else's hardship and breathe out healing to them. We'd breathe in that which we would normally push away, and we'd breathe out that which we would normally try to keep for ourselves, right? We'd kind of doing the opposite of what your knee-jerk reaction would be. So with this practice of Tonglen, it becomes our yes. We start to want to do that. We start to realize, oh, the old way of fighting the world doesn't feel good anymore. Let me try the other way. Let me try Tonglen. So we remember that we feel better, which is our yes, when we can do this, not the opposite. You see? So in this respect, this is the alchemy. Our no becomes our yes, and our yes becomes our no. Meaning, the no is, I don't want to feel that feeling. But when you're a Tonglen and a Lojong practitioner, you're like, that feeling is my medicine. The feeling wants to be felt. The feeling is nectar. If I feel it, it feels like medicine. So the no becomes the yes. Do you see? That's the alchemy. And then, of course, we could say the yes becomes the no. The yes might be the kind of the impulse control, right? You know, like, I want the cigarette. I want the alcohol. If you're trying to quit all that stuff, then be like, okay, look, I don't need that. And then we feel good because we're postponing the satisfaction. So this is the way I'm tying in the yes and the no and the alchemy in terms of how we can start to move more into what's called tantra, alchemical practice, where we transmute poison into medicine. Poison into medicine. So that's your cliffhanger, and we move into this topic more next week. Okay? All right, I know people are having to leave. It's just 5 minutes after the hour. I didn't go too late. I just 5 minutes late. Thank you, everybody. So let's take a moment. And I don't know what's going on with this door and people coming and going. Normally, this is not cool. Like, if this doesn't have to happen, I would prefer it not to happen. Okay, I'm just saying that for the container of the room. There's a lot of coming and going, and I'd like to just not have that happen. Of course, if people have to, you can do it. Now, I'm not a police woman, could you tell? But normally, when we sit and we don't come and go. And during the class, I just go 5 minutes. I'm warning you ahead of time. Sometimes I go 5-6 minutes late, but I won't go too much later than that. Okay? All right. Thank you. Let's go ahead and dedicate the merit for the benefit of all beings everywhere. Any drop of good energy that we've cultivated in this class tonight through our practice or our study, in some way bring benefit. in ways seen and unseen, near and far, like a drop of water expanding into the vast ocean of positive energy, becomes limitless. Thank you, everybody. And feel free to enjoy some tea in the lobby afterwards, and build community. And if you're curious about volunteering, you can ask Emily, or who else has volunteered here before. Please raise your hand if you're open to people coming up and talking to you afterwards. You don't have to raise your hand if you're not open to people talking to you afterwards. You're like, I volunteered, but I'm not open to people talking to me afterwards. And then Emily has an announcement. Yes.
We have somebody come in the building tonight who's having a psychological hard time. He's still out in front of the building gathering up his things to leave.
Oh,
If everybody can leave through the side doors tonight, that would be great. And the reception tonight will be in this room. So feel free to grab your tea if you're going to hang out.
Oh.
Here, but I just don't want the lobby door opening and closing. We try to make it look like the lobby is shut down. If you go out the Luna side door, just make sure the door is locked. He doesn't appear to be threatening, but he does get a little bit agitated. He really wanted to stay in the building. So we're going to try to make sure he doesn't get back into the building.
Oh, I
Does
didn't.
anybody have, I'm going to stop
Thank
the
you.
stream, and then if anybody has any questions.
Emily, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much, hon. Okay, we can do Tonglen for him. I hope he's okay.